Good evening. If you would like to sign up for public comments, please drop your name in the chat. Thank you.
I reported him yesterday, and I'm like, dude, I need you to stop you from up and down the street. Come back.
He's gonna do that one time and man, he's gonna get ripped. He really is.
I don't know, I think that's
Sufficient.
oh, so you could see that on the other one?
You better? I mean, everyone, oh, we do this. Yep. I can work the guide them.
The exception of Debbie there.
That shit.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. But I hope she does. I seen the email.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Enjoy it while it lasts. Oh yeah, yes. It won't last long.
Bring it down, that they'll come by here. If you want to vacation, fill this out, they'll come by and literally check your numbers.
Did the power go off today? Oh, it didn't?
Oh, you will?
All right, let's call this meeting to order, please. First portion of this meeting is a public hearing regarding Council Bill 2312, an ordinance of the City of Normandy, Missouri, amending sections 405 and 407 regarding fencing regulations, and Council Bill 23-13, an ordinance of the City of Normandy enacting a new section 405-756 regarding regulation of marijuana-related uses. Is there any resident from the City of Normandy who would like to come to the podium and comment regarding either of these two proposed ordinances?
I don't even know what it is.
Um,
How do you comment if you can't see it?
Well, I'll give you a background.
Thank you.
Missouri statute wiped out our fencing regulations, so we had to put them back in place.
Ah,
And there's no changes to our existing ordinance, and correct me if I'm wrong, there's an increase in the inspection fee. That's the only change made. Is that accurate? Okay. So it was just, the Missouri legislature voided all fencing regulations and start from scratch. So we rewrote it, and it went through planning and zoning, and was passed by a unanimous vote of the Planning and Zoning Commission, and here it is before us today. So I wouldn't think that there would be a controversial.
Yeah, so that's the same board.
It's the same ordinance, except we've raised the inspection fee
Okay,
to $30, which covers going out and doing an inspection. It was,
Yeah.
I think $10 before.
okay.
Council Bill 23-13, as you're all aware, the marijuana law passed in Missouri, so dispensaries are now legal. So we wrote an ordinance that regulates them, and I can give you the highlights of it. They are allowed, we can't disallow them, we can regulate them. We're regulating marijuana uses maintained within 100 feet. They can't be within 100 feet of any elementary school, daycare center, or church, and they can only operate between 10 a.m. and 10 p.m. Those are the only two restrictions we put on marijuana dispensaries. With that exception, they're allowed like any business in the city.
so I have a question.
Come up and identify yourself and.
I did sign up, okay. Chair Gannon, 7620 Augusta. So I have a question. Is this, this 100 feet, what is the footage for selling cigarettes and liquor? Is this equal? Or is that different?
I thought it was 500 feet.
That's why I'm asking, because I think the regulation for selling cigarettes and for selling liquor is a greater footage, like maybe even 500 or 1,000, do we know?
I don't know.
Because 100 seems kind of close to the school
Well,
for marijuana.
And the reason, this went through planning and zoning, and it was
Yeah.
discussed at length, and it, again, passed unanimously. Anything over that, and you almost eliminate it on the entire corridor of Natural Bridge.
Okay, so if you, I mean, So then you gotta think about liquor and
Well, and that
cigarettes.
may have to be readdressed.
Because I think you already have people in violation of that.
There may be, but for the purpose of this hearing, is this a reasonable, it's property line to property line, 100 feet, and it puts some, you know, any one or two businesses away from any daycare or school. And like I say, you go beyond that, and you're pretty much eliminating them along Natural Bridge.
Well, 100 feet is like nothing.
And Ms. Gannon, just so you know, I did confirm it is actually 100 feet for liquor as well.
Is it?
I thought it was 500.
I did too.
Sorry.
It's 200 for liquor.
Oh, it's 200 for liquor?
What's the, sorry, never mind. Thank you, Ms. Gannon.
Okay, well, I am just gonna say that I think 100 feet is not enough. That's my opinion.
May I add something? Thank
Well,
you,
this
Chair.
is public comment now.
Yeah,
We'll
this,
have an
I'm just
opportunity-
making my
You'll have an
comment.
opportunity when the
Right.
ordinance is read later in the meeting. to have
Okay.
our input.
I'm just gonna say, I think 100 feet is too close to a school.
For Mark,
Yes,
you're talking
Marijuana.
about yardage. There
Oh, is it 100 feet or 100 yards?
I mean, it was 1,000
Football
feet.
field.
It was 1,000
Then it's 100
feet.
yards.
100 feet. That's a football field.
100 feet?
no, 100 feet, 100 yards.
No,
is-
this-
That's a
Yeah.
football field. That would be too far.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
That'd be like,
Okay,
Well, what I'm saying is, I think it was, when it 1,000 feet to sell marijuana when it was illegal. And
I don't know.
now it's legal, it's 100 feet.
okay, so I'm just gonna, my opinion and what I'm gonna say is that I think 100 feet is not enough.
Thank you.
That's all.
Andy?
Anybody else from the public want to comment on this proposed ordinance?
Is there questions for
Yeah,
me?
it's a question, yeah. Now, wasn't it previously before marijuana and
Chair,
drugs?
is this a good time?
Yeah, go ahead and answer
Okay.
questions.
When
Okay.
drugs were, before it was illegal, it was, wasn't it 1,000 feet?
Well, so I think what you're referring to is in the Missouri Constitution, Article 14 Amendment, Section 2, which is the portion that was adopted as Amendment 3 that was voted on that legalized adult recreational use marijuana. There is a default of 1,000 feet. That is the maximum buffer that a city can impose between schools, daycares, and a dispensary.
Yeah.
The city can go as low as they want. There's no, I mean, it could be 0, right? There could be no buffer. But 1,000 is the default, and that's the maximum.
Right, so if it's legal now, why can't we keep it at 1,000? When it was illegal, it was 1,000, now it's legal,
Well,
so.
it was, when it was illegal, it was just illegal. But the default under the Constitution is 1,000. The city could keep it that way. Again, right now, for the public hearing, all that is being discussed is what the recommendations of the Planning and Zoning Commission were. And then later in this council meeting, the council members will have an opportunity to discuss potential changes, if any, that the council would like to make to that recommendation.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Hearing none, I'm going to close this portion of the meeting to public comment. All right, let's open the regular meeting. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Cleveland. Here. Councilman Sachsenheimer.
Here.
Councilman Jackson. Councilman Evans.
Here.
Councilman Nelson.
Here?
Councilman Hong.
Here.
Councilwoman Rosso.
Councilwoman Russell had a scheduled surgery today. She won't make it.
Okay. Councilwoman Campbell. Here. You have a quorum.
Thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And like every meeting, I'll remind everybody of our mission statement here. The mission of the city of Normandy is to provide a high level of public service and to grow the community through transparent, accountable, and professional governance. Before we move on, I'd like to hear a motion to amend the agenda to refer to planning and zoning the issue of a site approval ordinance and to amend section E, old business, Council Bill 23-11 is not the first reading, it's the second reading, to change that language. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Is there any questions about the site approval ordinance or referral to planning and zoning?
Excuse me, it's site plan review is what we're looking for.
Site plan review, I'll change the language of the motion to refer to planning and zoning site plan review. And this came up during work with planning and zoning as a big gaping hole in our approval process. So as soon as they do some work on it, we have a recommended ordinance, we'll talk about it some more. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. And with that said, is there a motion to refer to planning and zoning site plan review ordinance?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving on. Approval of the minutes of May 9, 2023. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
We have a motion. Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of May 25, 2023 council workshop meeting?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Can I ask something?
Sure.
So it says council members present, it says Debbie Rosso is not on here?
Oh,
Yeah. Its absence is none, so her name is,
Okay, yeah, I missed that too.
I read this
I
time.
missed it.
Yeah, you're right.
What?
So someone would need to make a motion.
Just make a motion to amend.
I'll make a motion to amend.
There's a motion to amend to remove Debbie Rosso as in attendance. Is there a second?
Or add.
Oh,
Just
and?
add it all.
I'm sorry. Okay. I misunderstood what you were saying.
That she wasn't added.
Oh, she wasn't
No,
added.
it
Okay.
says absent, it says none, but her name is not on here at all.
Okay.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Now on the, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of May 2025 City Council Workshop as amended. Is there a motion? Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, citizens' comments. Anyone want to approach the podium and identify yourself? And
Sign up list.
oh, there is a sign-up list. Go ahead.
Terry Gann.
Save it till later.
Oh, okay.
2 years ago.
Selma Morley.
I'm here.
Or Morley.
Mayor
Hi.
Nelson, my name is Thelma Moorhead. I live on Contour and have lived on Contour for 43 years. Most of you I know from seeing you. I think I met you right before election. And Rick, I think you get tired of me calling most
No,
of the
never.
time. Okay. I'm here today, I'm not representing my street, but let me just say that I know practically everybody on my street except the people who've been there probably less than 5 years. A lot of the individuals or residents have passed on, and of course, they're renting their houses and things of that nature, just like the people across the street from me. And let's just say that the people who are there have kept an eye out or watch out for anything that looks suspicious on our street. We'll call in and report. We'll call in, get numbers, license plate numbers, things of that nature. Most recently, and I have to say this because I've been in and out of town taking care of a sister who's been ill for the past probably 6 months. So when I leave town, I usually call the police department and file a report and say I'm gone. But my daughter's living with me now since my husband passed. I guess I'm saying all of this to say that most recently, we've had car thefts on our street. I think most of you are aware. My neighbors tell me about things because I do watch. I don't sit and watch out of the window because I do have a life. But being single, a widower, it's kind of scary for me because once I'm in the house at night, I'm locked in unless I call my brother or my daughter and say, come go out with me. You know, I'm going out at night. I used to depend on, when I left, knowing that the police department was policing our streets. I don't see anybody. I've kind of asked probably about 6 or 7 residents. They said they don't see anybody anymore. And I guess I'm ahead of the game because there are reports that's going to be made. But I stopped on the way here and talked to Ms. Harris. She said, and she, because her 2 cars were stolen. Neighbor directly across from me, this young couple, a working couple, their car was stolen, which frightened me because I found out from the neighbor who lives further in the cul-de-sac from me. I parked my truck in the garage, emptied the garage out, parked my car in the garage, but everybody doesn't have that privilege, okay? I would hate to think that my paid merchandise, my cars would be gone when I got up in the morning, okay, Lord forbid. But at the same time, I'm considerate of other people in the neighborhood that are, I'm not gonna say I'm old, but that are a lot younger than me or a lot older than me, okay? I called Mr. Nelson because he's my alderman and I said, what is going on? He said, I'm sorry, and I told him about it. I said, Ms. Harris's cars were stolen. My neighbor directly across the street, his car was stolen. And in fact, she just told me on the way here that the neighbor 2 houses down from her, somebody tried to steal her car, their car. And I'm thinking, we've lived in this quiet neighborhood for 43 years for me, okay? I was married for 46. And I have never, when I go and come, I retired in 2019, nothing like this. I take a lot of pride in my neighborhood because I keep my property up, okay? And of course, everybody doesn't do the same, but regardless, I'm here regarding the fact that I don't see the police officers on the streets anymore. They used to stop, I used to talk to them, tell them a little about what's going on in the neighborhood. I don't see them, okay? And I guess what I'm saying is what's going on. Because, you know, Mr. Stewart's not here because he's ill, and I have other customers, you know my right. I have other people in the neighborhood who are saying the same thing. Did you know? No, I don't know. I didn't know. So at this point, Mayor, I guess what I'm saying is, what are we going to do? What are you going to do for us?
Can you do this for me? Can you either leave your phone number with our city clerk or give me a call tomorrow?
I sure will.
I appreciate it.
I will, okay? But I'm sorry I call you all the time, but we're a little afraid over that, in that area.
That's my job.
We're a little afraid, I'm telling you. And I told you before, my thoughts are to move, but then if something happens everywhere.
And I talked
Okay.
you out of that, right?
Yeah, you did.
Yes, don't go anywhere, we're gonna protect you.
Yeah, you did.
Thank you for your comments,
Okay.
ma'am,
Thank you.
because we need to hear from citizens like yourself, and I'm hearing the same thing in my area. I'm right across 70.
Okay,
on Bermuda.
okay.
And
Yeah.
so we're concerned about it as well. We have a lot of elderly
Yeah,
people that
yeah.
live across the street, down the street, and their concerns are the same. So we want to hear that, and we're glad that you came to
Yeah.
express
Thank
your
you.
feelings.
And also people driving reckless, we're getting a lot of that.
Yeah,
You know, running stop
Yeah.
signs, not even stopping at stop signs, running red lights and
We're killing out
passing
of
you
your
on the
neighborhood.
road,
Yeah.
so.
okay. But if I see anything suspicious, like a car that doesn't look like it belongs, and if people have visitors, don't get me wrong, I write the license plates down. And I think I called you on the one car I bought. Yeah,
Continue to call.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank
Thanks,
you very
guys.
much.
Thank you, Ms. Morehead.
No,
No others? Moving on. Mayor's report, the only thing I've got to report, the fountain, the plantings are in, the irrigation is working well, everything looks healthy. Thank you, Alonzo Reed, for taking care of the 2 potted planters right in front of him. I knock out the one in front of the bar and grill in the morning, and everything looks good. The fountain, everybody's noticed, is not on. We're getting our new Public Works Director on Tuesday. We're gonna have the gentleman who built that fountain come in and give him instruction on how to properly maintain that fountain. And so it'll be turned on next week.
Good.
Steve or Karen?
Yes. Oh, you got something, go first.
I've had some calls. We've had a little bitty motorcycle young man, probably 10, 11 years old. And unfortunately, it's starting to have disrepair, so when he runs around the streets, he gets a lot of backfires, which sounds like gunshots.
Yes.
I'm not saying they're gunshots, I'm saying it sounds like gunshots, and we're getting calls that there's gunshots. But I have a lot of time outside, and I see the young man, and I know it's backfires because I'm out in my front lawn and I see him. So if there's an officer in the area, they usually come out 5 to 7 range. If they could just either stop the young man or find out where he lives and talk to the parents, everyone would appreciate it, and we would get a lot less calls. Because when this guy goes around the corner 5 or 6 times, he probably backfires 25 times. So we get a boatload of calls for gunshots, and these are not authentic gunshots. These are backfires.
Councilman, is it a mini bike or?
Yeah, it's a mini bike.
Okay.
It looks like
Yeah.
I can't swear to this, it looks like a mini Honda type, and the young man is probably 10 or 11 years old. And I am a motorcycle rider, as everyone knows, so I'm not hammering motorcycles. I'm saying with the way the speeders are coming around the corner, the young man's putting his life in jeopardy. He really is. And so I just wanted to bring that up, if in fact they can keep a little bit more of an eye out and maybe get a hold of his parents.
Thank you, Steve.
And by the way, I recorded the young man, because he's always on my street. So I have a couple of things. So much trash on Bermuda. I don't know what we can do about that, other than Steve and myself, we're going up and down Bermuda cleaning it. Potholes. We have a pothole right down, what is that, Portchester and Dortmund?
Yes.
It's been sitting there forever. I don't know who's supposed to be, I mean, I don't think I'm supposed to drive around looking for potholes, but that pothole's been there for a long time. And I know Rick goes up and down the street, I just thought maybe he saw that. And I'm getting tired of playing dodge cars when I'm driving down Bermuda, because they're speeding so fast that even at 5:45 in the morning, I'm playing dodge cars because they're coming after me. I'm trying to get off my street.
Yeah, it's scary sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
Coming
You and I
out of my
was-
street.
We were on Bermuda at the same time.
Exactly, when that car
You
came
and I were
around.
talking, I'm
We was
like-
on the phone.
Yeah.
And the
I
car
said,
just
that
zoomed right around.
Jeep, so
Yeah.
we need police officers on Bermuda. If we could just have a fake car just sitting there, I don't care. We gotta have someone on Bermuda to help with that traffic. It's just, they're going at least 60 miles an hour, and they're just not residents here. These folks live in Emerson, and folks just don't even respect Bermuda anymore, like they used to back in the day when people used to go 25 miles an hour. If you go 26, you're getting a ticket. But now they're just going 60 miles an hour, and I'm dodging because I've had almost a head-on collision twice. Just me driving my little 25, sometimes 30, but I'm not going 60. So
Thank you.
that's all I have.
Ward 2?
First, I wanted to say somebody had a resident request if it's possible to put a crosswalk from over between Bermuda Court and the park. She just touched bases on the traffic, and it's hard for the elderly to walk across the street. any kids, and they're scared that somebody's gonna get hurt, hit and seriously hurt. So that's something that's possible, if we can possibly address that, that would be appreciated. I was gonna touch bases on the potholes as well. I just wanna, being a city councilman right now, I wanna apologize to the city of Normandy that it's taken 2 to 3 years to fill potholes. I don't think that's good. I think that is a safety hazard. So I would appreciate if we could probably try to speed that process up. We have to find some money somewhere. I personally sealed my potholes myself last year. Went to Home Depot and got some stuff. And my neighbor across the street, but we have them all up and down our street. And the last was elderly lady again. She complained about cars going around just like Karen just said on Bermuda, and in back of her, and you know, all close up to her, and is afraid she's 80-something years old, and then all of a sudden they swoop around her.
Yeah.
So those things is really important to me. So I wish that we could possibly do something about it.
Thank you.
Also, I'm gonna piggyback off that, speed bumps.
Yes.
We talked about speed bumps a couple of
Yeah.
times.
Bumps, humps.
Yeah, humps, did I say humps or bumps?
Humps,
Speed bumps.
humps.
They're humps
Yeah, we
now.
want humps.
Okay, we want humps, speed
Okay,
bumps.
call it that.
Where are we at on that? As far as the speed humps?
Go ahead, Sam, just give me an update on that.
Yeah, the council identified using CDBG funds
Mm-hmm.
from the 2023 year for speed bumps on various,
Speed humps.
speed humps. Parts of Ward 1 and 2,
Okay.
and that, I believe that money is close to being made available. The Housing and Urban Development from the federal government has to release the money, and then we work with CDBG. So if we want to use the CDBG money for it, it's still gonna be probably another month or two.
Oh, okay, so that's ETA about another month or two. For the end of summer.
Hopefully.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, you had something else?
Yeah, go ahead. First of all, Mayor, I would like to say thank you. The kids, thank you, and the parents, thank you for getting out there the last 2 weeks and dragging those fields. They look perfect. They haven't looked that good in 5 years, and everybody's asking me, who's the guy with the farmer's hat on that's riding the tractor? I said, that's the mayor.
Yeah.
So they said thank you.
All right,
So,
well, thank you. I
yeah.
appreciate the feedback.
And also, we started our Red Bear rookie season last week, and it's been jam-packed every day. Matter of fact, they're up there playing right now. And we're gonna start our RVI program, which is our 14 to 16-year-olds. And for the first year, we got 25 kids signing up for it. And I was talking to the mayor about this. The good thing about this program is that, okay, we're gonna pay for uniforms and everything, but to see kids from Normandy High School, the STEM school, McClure North, regular McClure, all sign up and come together as one big team.
That's good.
You know, so I told the mayor I was really happy to see that. It makes me feel good because you see all this camaraderie going with the different schools. They don't like each other and stuff like that. But to see all of them come together as one, you know, made me feel good to see that. That's all I had.
That's a start of something.
Yeah, that's all. Something good.
Great work.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good job, Tony.
Nothing from me.
And matter of fact, I have on Dodgers jersey today. I'm a diehard Cardinals fan.
No kidding.
Jackie Robinson jersey. So let's clear that up. Let's clear that up. 42. Jackie Robinson. Okay. He played for the Dodgers. So I want to clear that up right now. All right, that's all.
Thank you. Councilman Nelson?
Okay, first I want to thank you, Ms. Moran, for coming today, taking your time out. And I know you spoke to some other residents that couldn't come because they were sick. And we've been talking about this for some time. And I think it's going to come to a point where we're going to get some things done. Another thing, our Public Works Director will be coming what time?
Tuesday.
Tuesday?
Yep.
Okay, and I guess it will get on those potholes and.
Well, I will tell you, we're getting a new public works director. We're also getting our new truck next week. So now instead of cold patches from Home Depot, we're gonna be able to get hot patch
Good.
and do those potholes right, so.
Yeah, because I guess when, you got a list of potholes.
Yep, it's
What
gonna be a
about the-
priority.
What about the limbs and leaves, because they're still out there?
They've been working on those. They should be caught up.
Okay, Mayor, that's all I need.
Thank you. Councilman Campbell?
Let's see, there's a pothole at 7236 Normandy Place that needs to be attended to. I guess when we get the new public works director, these are just some things that like, there are weeds in the sidewalk on Natural Bridge that need to be like taken care of, and cleaned up.
Are they still there today? Okay,
Yeah, like in the.
because that was addressed yesterday. Can't go that
They
fast.
like, well, and then it's like more towards like the Natural Bridge side where the bus stops
Okay,
are and
okay.
everything. And then, there are some trash cans that people are leaving out on Normandy Place, so, that would be for you to talk to Rick about. The other thing is there are a few wilted flowers that I noticed on the east side of Natural Bridge, for the native plants. And I know the other thing that we talked about was, them coming and giving a report to the council,
Okay.
to the citizens about native plants.
I did notice east side was a little sluggish.
Yeah.
I put that, I emailed them that also.
You did, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, so I know part of the contract was that they would replace
Yeah.
flowers that died, so, but they're significantly yellow. And then also, if we could get like clarification on the tree that's in front of 7249 Normandy Place.
I looked at it.
Yeah, it's just some for that house.
Okay, and I'll talk to you about that. I got a recommendation for that. That should be simple. Get it? Thank you.
Now, you mentioned weeds growing out the sidewalk. What, is that on Natural Bridge also?
It's on, yes, it goes from Lucas and Hunt down to Natural Bridge. So like at the, it's a weird like
Growing up
step.
between concrete.
Yeah, but it's like brickwork. It's pavers.
Right.
Right there.
Okay.
And like in the pavers, there's like a lot of.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Thank you.
Do we still spray for weeds or? We
They
haven't-
should be weed whipped and sprayed.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's been addressed and it's got obviously to be addressed again. That's it. Chief of Police?
City administrator. City administrator.
I'll get to him in a minute.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll let her go.
Do you
Go
need
ahead.
something else before me?
No.
Police department report. For the city of Normandy, there were 1,079 calls for service. In all the areas we provide contract service for, a total of 2,601 calls in the past 30 days. There were 265 police reports generated, 26 accident reports, 241 summonses, and true to our business check initiative to reduce the business burglaries in the corridor of Natural Bridge from Lucas and Hunt all the way down to the interstate down at 170. There were 1,207 business checks in the past 30 days. Discussion items, department promotions. We have 2 promotions that were made from a very robust and lengthy promotional process. So you guys will see next month, hopefully at our award ceremony, the announcement of Major Matthew Larson and Captain John Beekman. We have 5 new hires, 3 of them which begin in this next coming week. True to our diversity and inclusion initiatives to recruit more women and minorities, I'm pleased to report that we're now up to 4 women with the Normandy Police Department, and we actually have tentatively 5 black officers, which is actually the most African-American officers Normandy has ever had in the history of Normandy. So our recruitment efforts are up and they'll continue. We're hoping to add 2 additional officers to the 5 that will be onboarded, and 2 of the total 7 graduate from the police academy. This was our initiative that we brought to you guys back last year around October, when we talked about going out to the academies, recruiting people early and trying to get them in the door, where if we can't find police officers that haven't been recycled and been through the muni shuffle. Perhaps we'll start making our own police officers. So I'm really excited that they were able to complete the academy, and we'll be pinning them at the end of the month. Outside of that, I know that there's a lot of, our saturation detail. We talked about this last month, when we talked about the increased patrol activities during the saturation details. The results for our saturation detail were in that 6-hour period that we actually provided service. There were 13 police officers on patrol. We wrote 40 tickets that evening. We conducted several dozen stops. I think the first maybe hour or so, we had some technical difficulties where our computers weren't working, so everybody we stopped got warnings. We can't give them tickets, give them a warning, but we were stopping cars. True to what everyone's saying, the majority of our enforcement detail was actually centered on the northern end of Normandy, where there's more rampant driving violations and there's more prevalence of the vehicle thefts. The whole purpose of the saturation detail that we started in conjunction with St. Louis County and St. Louis City is to reduce auto thefts. As you guys know, it's not just a regional trend, it's a national trend. And the thefts that we're experiencing are the same ones that everyone's experiencing with the Hyundais and the Kias. And so this has been rampant. It's why several cities are actually suing Hyundai. People are suing Kia because the ease that the vehicles can be stolen with and the amount of time it takes to steal one of those vehicles. We're actually recovering more vehicles, and I'm pleased to report that at least we're recovering more vehicles that are stolen out of other jurisdictions than actually taking police reports presently for stolen vehicles. Our stolen vehicles are actually down since the saturation details began. They'll continue every month. One of the things that we experienced in the Bermuda corridor, I was personally there, I went out, I worked with my officers. I know Councilwoman Cleveland has seen me about 3 or 4 times up on Bermuda writing people tickets myself, and I'm the chief of police. So I go out there and I enforce traffic when I have some time throughout the day to try to curb the speeding on Bermuda. I actually sat at Bermuda and Dulwood. I wrote 13 tickets in an hour to people that were running the stop sign at Bermuda and Dulwood. So we're out there, we're writing tickets. It's just extremely difficult for us to answer the calls for service and sit and some of the things that I talked to Councilwoman Cleveland about are it's not really a bait car, but the police car sitting out there like we have across the street to deter people from, we had a lot of people that were checking out the funeral home. We were getting a lot of, open doors there and people were going to the funeral home. We haven't had one issue at the funeral home since we parked that police car out there. And so it's there as a deterrent. So we talked about strategizing and moving some police cars strategically as a deterrent to try to slow down traffic when an officer can't physically be there to enforce the traffic. One of the other things I wanted to address was the saturation details will continue. We actually ended up in 4 pursuits that night because people don't like to stop for the police anymore. So while we can do our best to stop cars or attempt to stop cars, I had 2 people run from me. And we can pursue to the extent that it's not a greater risk to the public than it is, to stop someone for a speeding violation. I mean, we had people blacking out on Bermuda and going over 100 miles an hour. So the police department is invested in stop stakes, and we're actually going to be more strategic about our efforts in the coming months. We're actually going to set up choke points with officers at the highway and officers at Woodstock and Bermuda. For people that don't stop for the police, we're going to use tire deflation devices, and we're going to flatten their tires and stop them. So we're trying to bring and restore some order up to the northern side of Normandy, and we understand that there's definitely some issues there. And we want to hopefully restore the magic fence that forces people to go around Normandy instead of coming through. So we are working on that, and I would love to speak with you after the meeting in reference to some of your specific concerns and build a rapport where we can actually converse on a more regular basis. Okay. So you don't have to, wait a month to come into the meeting and express that. You can get real-time results and real-time answers because the great majority of the council is able to call and if they have an immediate issue, and we can deal with them in real time as opposed to making people wait for results or even answers. One of the last questions that I was asked was about the patrol schedules. So when I inherited the Normandy Police Department, we were short. The Normandy Police Department's been short for a very long time. We're going to discuss, I know that it's on the agenda for tonight, the pay plan and some things that will make Normandy a marketable and competitive police agency again, so we can attract good applicants and so we can stop losing people. It's easy for me to go out there and sell my razzle dazzle and bring people in and recruit people, but it's hard to retain people after 2 or 3 years once they're trained, and there's other opportunities out there that are more lucrative for them, especially considering the danger that this job entails. So I hope that we're able to discuss some of that more candidly once we start getting into the pay plan this evening and start thinking about some creative strategies that will not only attract people to come to our city, but then get people to stay. The patrol schedules are 12-hour schedules, they're a rotating 12-hour schedule, and the officers, the shift change is 5:30 to 5:45, where the officers actually do a pass-on of information. So it seems as though the community might know that between 5, Councilwoman Cleveland and I have quite a few talks, they know that 5:30 and 5:45 is our shift change time, and that's when we see an increase, not just in, traffic-related hazards, but we see increases in just criminal activity, people thinking they can get away with things in that little brief window. So we've actually addressed that by having an overlay card that actually works, and I won't put the hours out there, because that would just be silly. We have an overlay car that's actually staying out on the road, so there's going to be an officer that stays out on the road during shift change that overlaps both shifts to continue to provide coverage in those areas during that time until the shift can be switched. So those select officers will actually work a different assignment than the 5:45 shift like the rest of us to continue to keep coverage out there on the street so we always have manpower. Unless anybody has any questions for me, that completes my report for
Can I
tonight.
ask her a question? Can I ask a question?
Yes, go ahead.
The question I have, Wholesale Park is getting to be like a drug exchange. I mean, I sat there the other day, he and I getting ready to clean up the streets. They just pull up and just start pulling out, sending out drugs with each other and like exchanging, so.
During daytime hours?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
About 5 at night, right in front of us.
The marijuana law changes have really affected a lot.
Also after hours.
Every car that drives by, you can smell it. It's everywhere. It's everywhere, but we'll address that. I'll add that to the list. I have a big long list of notes from everybody's comments. And I actually send out a report at the end of the council meetings to my patrol supervisors, letting them know what the concerns are so we can address them.
Chief,
Yes, sir?
what are our numbers now, officers? Staff?
Let's see. I can tell you how many we're down. It would be easier for me to tell you that than how many we have, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 24, and we're down people in support services. Our support services, and that's not including the 2 people that we're onboarding soon. So we'll be at 26. Our authorized manpower is 28. So we're authorized at 28 officers.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
No other questions? Sam?
Yeah, first I'll just say, I know we've been down a public works director for the past month while we're waiting for the new one to start next week. If you have any concerns about the streets, potholes, any code enforcement things, please just let us know, send it to me, and I'll make sure it gets to the right person. And it's a lot easier to address specific things and make sure it gets taken care of from there. Some of the stuff in my written report was covered already, but as many people know, the USDA broke ground, if you didn't notice. It's become very busy over there. So that's a project that's gonna last, the next 2 to 3 years. It's gonna be a construction site. I think 2025 is when they're gonna complete it. The city did receive a $240,000 one-time bond issuance fee late last month, and you'll see that in the budget amendment that will be discussed later tonight. And the groundbreaking event, for those who weren't able to attend, was really a cool thing. I learned a lot about the lab. I didn't know that it was 1 in 3 in the entire country. It's basically going to test samples for the entire Midwest. And I think Mayor Beckman gave a great speech and represented Normandy well. In addition to that, we've also got as Sanders alluded to, we've got the pay plan tonight and a budget amendment. As we come up on the last fiscal quarter, which starts in July, we will start the budget discussions for 2024 with the council. So it's all coming up very quickly, and we've got a busy few months ahead.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Sam, is there any reason why we don't have Andy on our agenda?
There's no particular reason. I mean, if it would please the council to hear a report from me, I'd be happy to.
No, I was speaking of just being on the monthly agenda, because, because you're all on the minutes. So, being on the monthly agenda.
Would you like a report from Andy routinely?
I'd just like to know why we don't have it on our agenda.
Well, we just.
Because he doesn't have, the city attorney, there's in our code, it says who gives a report of officers. And the city attorney's not one of those. Generally, the city attorney has to give a
Okay, I'm
report.
just gonna
or
ask you,
update.
because in the past we did.
Doesn't mean it was done correctly.
Yeah, I don't have any objection to it, and we can address that as soon as I read up on our code
I'm
and
just
see if we
asking.
need to revise that.
I forgot one thing.
Go
Well, I would
ahead,
also
Andy.
like to note that just most of the time, if I have something to tell the council, it's in closed session. So a public report may not be as enlightening as
What if
one might hope.
what if a citizen wanted to ask you a question?
Well, that's
Well,
not
I-
appropriate.
That's not appropriate?
Yeah, he's a city attorney.
They usually go through us.
The citizens give
They go
comments.
through us. They go through, the citizens go through us.
Yeah.
And then we address issues that the citizens should have.
If we want to make that change, we'll address it at the workshop,
Yeah,
okay?
I'm just asking.
Yeah, that's fine. No, that's good.
Thank you.
And if-
And yeah, the report from officers is generally, what's happened the past month and any, ongoing things that need to be brought up. I did want to mention one thing about one of the written reports submitted to council, which is from the court. We discovered that reports submitted to the past in council, I don't want to go too off into the weeds, but the software that runs the report, if you run it on the last day of the month, it doesn't catch everything. Or if you run it like 2 weeks after the month is ended, then it catches a lot more. So some of the cases filed information on the previous reports were lower than what they actually were. And so this one, this monthly court report is accurate, but some of the ones in the past were considerably lower than what they should have been, or what was actually filed. So I just wanted to point that out because we found that out this month.
Can we get the corrected one?
Yeah, like,
Would you like a corrected one from the previous months?
yeah, that might be helpful
Okay.
to determine metrics and make any judgments that we might have.
You have good numbers we're looking at.
That shouldn't be hard to do. I'll send those out via email.
Good suggestion, Councilman.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Thank you, Sam. Public Works Director, the only thing I'll say is, we're getting by, okay? I'm down there at 6 o'clock every morning, square the guys away, but after that, they're pretty much on their own, with the exception of phone calls back and forth, what do you want done next? So there's not a lot of supervision going on until we get our new Public Works Director on Tuesday. And 2 of our 4 guys are temps, and I've been real hesitant to hire full-time employees because I want to give our new Public Works Director the opportunity to build his own crew, and not build it for him. So when he gets here, he'll make determinations as to how he wants to build that crew.
So since, do we wait until he gets here to tell anything?
To do what?
To say something about, like, what we see?
No, I'm just saying, absolutely not. I'm just saying, we're just trying to get by, and that's why there's been some work fall through the cracks, and you're seeing some things that haven't been done. We're doing the best we can without.
Should I wait? Or should I
No,
tell
even
you?
when he is here, please send those to me and I'll make sure
Or should I tell you now? That's what I'm saying.
please send an email.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, Mr. Ellis, City Treasurer.
Good evening, Mayor, Councilwoman, and audience and officials. Here to present the report for the financial activity for the month of April. So if we have the report and the narrative that I provided. So for Part A, the summary of the income statement. For the month of April, the city recorded a net deficit of $11,000. That was for revenues of $375,000 versus expenditures of $386,000. Due to that result, the city realized an overall net income for the fiscal year to date of $64,000. That's for revenues of $2.639 million versus expenditures of $2.575 million. For Part B, that's the summary of the general fund balance. So the general fund unrestricted cash balance as of April 30th was $1.412 million. Then we had general fund board designated amount of $706,000. Unearned revenue from ARPA funds of $286,000. Amounts due to general fund from other funds of $172,000. And amounts due from the general fund to other funds of $53,000, resulting in a total of $538,000. Going to Part C, which is the income for the general fund, the percentage of budget remaining for income at fiscal year end, at this time should be at or below 41.7%, which would indicate that the amount of actual income was either the same or more than the budget amount of income. Fortunately, the city has exceeded the budget amount for income for year to date by $109,000, or 2.6% of the total budget amount. For Part D, expenditures by department for general fund. Conversely, the percentage of budget remaining for expenditures at fiscal year end should be at or above 41.7%, which would indicate that the amount of actual expenditures was either the same or less than the budget amount of expenditures. Unfortunately, the city did spend more than it had budgeted for year to date by just under $45,000, or 1.1% of the total budget amount. However, when it came to individual departments, some fared better in keeping expenses under budget while others did not. Those that were under budget were the courts, the streets, and the parks department. Those that were over budget were the administration and police. And then one additional note, I will be absent from next month's meeting, so I will be submitting a narrative to accompany next month's report as well for the month of May. That's all I have.
Any questions?
I do have a question in reference to the budget. So we're over budget, so are we in a place that at the end of the fiscal year, that we will be in the budget for the police department will be at or below what is supposed to be?
Yes, Councilman, right now, the amount of budget remaining is 41.5%.
Right.
And again, that figure that I used based on the monthly expectation is 41.7.
Okay.
So it's just slightly over what it should be.
Okay.
I would gather that it would probably be either at or slightly above based on how the spending goes for the remainder of the year. And then I'm pretty sure Mr. Johnson could lend some additional comment on that as well.
Yeah, I'll just add, when you do look at, monthly and what percentage you should be at, that's a really good measure to kind of get a sense. But there are some expenditures that like capital expenditures that have already been made for the year that we won't be making later on in the year. And some payments that are quarterly and some payments that are once a year, that kind of can make it look like we're farther ahead in the year, which I think is what is happening in the police department than we are. I think we're gonna come in under budget significantly by the end of the year in the police department. And we'll talk about that with the budget amendment as well.
Okay, so I also want to know, okay, so when we gave the police department, police officers raises, did that come out of the budget or am I understanding that came out of ARPA fund?
So, I guess both, kind of. So the ARPA funds are part of the budget, so when you look at the budget, you'll see grant revenues, and pretty much this year, that's all ARPA funds. Anything that's in that grant revenues line item is ARPA funds, and then, so we increase the amount we expected to see from grant revenues, and we increase the amount of expenditures for salaries. So it's reflected in the budget, but it is using ARPA funds.
Okay, so at last meeting, Tony asked about the ARPA funds, so after this ARPA funds run out, we won't have any more ARPA.
Yes.
That's what you,
Yes.
okay, so how can we sustain that if we're gonna always still have to pay?
Yeah, that's gonna be a
Raises.
conversation for our budget meeting.
Workshop.
Workshop in
Okay.
July, yeah.
Okay.
That's when we
That's
address, how do we continue?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that was just one of my concerns.
Yeah, that has to be addressed when we create a new budget for 23, 24.
Okay. Sounds good. All right, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Any other questions?
No, I'm good.
No,
Is there a-
I'm sorry, I just wanted to clarify, for like budget workshop purposes, that would also include, contract negotiations, renegotiations, anything else having to do administratively from the police end, right?
Well, when a budget is created, we have to work within that budget. We only have what we have.
Right, right.
So we make priorities when we create a budget. And then we have to work in raises or not raises, depending on what we choose as a council to allocate to any particular department. And again, those are gonna be decisions we make on the next budget.
Right.
This budget looks like we're gonna come in good shape.
Okay.
That doesn't, for next year, we're gonna anticipate revenues and create a new budget for next year.
Yeah. And this ARPA, the ARPA funds are totally dedicated to police services, right?
Not all of them.
Not all of it?
Yeah, it was, I think it's,
We got a public works roof, we got some vehicles, we got some computers, we got some salaries. We spread it out.
Okay, but the rest of it is dedicated to
Right.
police services?
Yeah.
What's remaining? That's what I mean.
Yeah, what was remaining, yeah.
not
Go
necessarily.
ahead, well, we had,
No.
go ahead, Sam.
That unearned, so on that line item B, unearned revenue ARPA funds, a portion of that is revenues. I would probably say, without having a spreadsheet in front of me, probably about 100,000 of that. But some of that is the public works truck that's coming next week and some other projects that the council.
So that's part of the 286,000?
Yeah, that,
So that number
That-
will
that's-
go down.
yeah, that 286 is the remaining ARPA funds as of April. So,
And we still have to pay for the truck.
Trucks.
yeah, but it's all, I mean, it's all budgeted out to come down to zero because we do have to spend them.
Was the truck paid for previously, $105,000, right?
Well, we don't pay it till we get delivery, but it's been budgeted and it's reflected in this report.
Okay, so last month we had 300,000 ARPA funds, and now we have 280 something. This month,
As of the end of April, yes.
April.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so any way you can give us a breakdown on the $900,000 of ARPA funds money we had, right? 900,000? So what percentage went?
Well, one was in a different fiscal year.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
previous
that's getting
fiscal
into the
year.
weeds. One was a whole different fiscal year.
I can send that out. I mean,
Yeah, whether it's fiscal year or not, it was $900,000 of ARPA
Right.
funds.
we spent as it was adopted in the budget
Right, so-
last year.
So is there a breakdown where it went?
Yes.
We need to have that, right?
Right.
Yeah, you voted on it.
Yes, but we
Yeah.
still need to have it,
Okay.
I'd like to see it.
yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Ellis.
Yes, sir.
Thanks a lot, appreciate it.
Appreciate it, sir.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the April 30, 2023 fiscal report? Second? Do we have a second? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, old business, Council Bill 23-11. This is the second reading as amended, not the first reading. An ordinance of the City of Normandy, Missouri, amending Chapter 205 of the Normandy City Code to allow for the keeping of chickens on certain properties. Is there a motion to adopt Council Bill 23-11?
I'll make a motion, please.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any comment or questions? Roll call vote, please.
Councilwoman Cleveland?
Yes.
Councilman Saxonheimer?
Yes.
Councilman Jackson?
Yes.
Councilman
Yes.
Evans?
This chicken bill?
Yes, this is.
No.
Councilman Nelson?
Is this the one where they had the amount of chickens that you can have and no roosters?
It's
Yes.
female chickens only.
Female chickens only?
And 2 acres and on educational facility.
All right, okay, yes.
Councilman Hahn?
Yes.
Councilwoman Russell is absent. Councilwoman Campbell?
Yes.
Ayes have it, motion carries. I'm sorry.
Ordinance number
Ordinance is adopted as ordinance number
781.
781, thank you. Okay, moving on, new business, Council Bill 2312, an ordinance of the City of Normandy, Missouri, reenacting sections 215, 405, 405, 745, sections 405 to 020 and 405, 710 regarding fencing regulations. This is the bill that we discussed previously at the public hearing. Is there a motion to adopt the first reading of Council Bill 23-12?
I'll make a motion.
I apologize, Mayor. Can you please reread that? I think some of the section numbers didn't come through.
Okay.
Do you have different section numbers?
An ordinance of the City of Normandy, Missouri, reenacting sections 212, 2730, 405.740, 405.745, 405.750, 405.755, and sections 405.020 and 405.710 regarding fence regulations.
It's 215.
Yeah.
Oh, what did I'm sorry.
The first.
Yeah,
that was
215.27, my fault.
Yes, it's there.
Thank you, Mayor.
Sorry about that. Is there a motion to approve the first reading of Council Bill 23-12?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Council Bill 20,
Now, hold
I'm
on.
sorry.
That was the fencing regulations.
Yes.
So, can I make a comment
Go
about
ahead.
that? And something that I think we will probably change between the first and second reading, and let the council vote on. The fencing, planning and zoning did not catch us, but the fencing ordinance right now, you have a privacy fence, it has to be built to your rear, the rear portion of your principal structure. So that means if you have a bump out on the back of your house, then that privacy fence can only be built to that bump out, can't be, so you could have a situation where you have an addition on the back of your house, and like my house in Florissant is exactly like this. I have an addition on the back of my house, and then my back door is actually out the side of the addition. And so I would go out my back door, and I wouldn't be in my backyard. And that could theoretically happen in Normandy with the way it's written. So I think we will amend it. If it's the council's pleasure, we will change it for the second reading to where that privacy fence comes up to the main portion of it.
The original rear building line versus, right now, the ordinance reads your fence can only come up to the rear building line. Well, if you put on an addition, it puts the fence so far in your backyard, you come out your back door, you're not in your backyard anymore. So what Sam's talking about is amend the ordinance so that you can build your fence up to the rear building line of the original structure, not the addition that you put on your house. I just don't know how it's gonna be worded yet, but we'll work that out.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, we'll let Andy figure it out. Yeah.
Thanks, Andy.
Is that clear?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
What section is that?
215 and 405.
Yeah,
You're talking about the particular
The one we were just talking about.
405, 745, B2, right? Or is that?
Yeah, 30% open area and tire thickness.
Or is it just, it's just section B?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, 405, 745, section B.
B.
Thank you. Item number 2, Council Bill 23-13, the first reading. An ordinance of the City of Normandy, Missouri, amending sections 405.020 definitions and section 405.790 special permits, and adding a new section 405.756 regarding regulation of marijuana-related uses. Is there a motion to approve the first reading of Council Bill 23-13?
So moved.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion carries. I'm sorry, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Now, is there any questions or comment before this goes to a second reading at next meeting? This is the one regarding the distance from schools and churches as to establishing a marijuana dispensary.
So at this time, it is planning and zoning's recommendation.
It is planning and
for
zoning.
100 feet because of the limitations that we have along Natural Bridge corridor, business-wise, and availability of space, right?
Yeah, you've got Murchison Church, and then you've got St. Anne's Church and St. Anne's School. And if you make it more than that, you're virtually eliminating from the Metro link to the,
Anywhere, anywhere that we have available.
Right, exactly.
Sure, thank you.
No space.
All right, we'll take a second reading at the next meeting on that Council Bill. Council Bill 23-14, first reading, an ordinance of the City of Normandy, Missouri, maintaining the tax rate and its tax on the gross receipts of public utility corporations conducting business within the City of Normandy. A little background on this.
What's that?
UE is raising its rates. And if it's raising its rates, that's causing, obviously, if we keep our rate the same, our income will go up. But they're raising rates because of inflation. Everything costs more. If we don't maintain our tax rate, we're gonna lose money. The products that we buy, the services that we buy are also going up with inflation. So I would be very much in favor of just keeping our rate the same. If we don't keep our rate the same and we reduce our rate as inflation goes up, we go broke. So if we just keep our rate the same, and then the products we buy, as they go up with inflation, we can afford to stay in business here. So, is there a motion to approve the first reading of Council Bill 2314?
So moved.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Now, this is one of those bills that the Missouri legislature kind of forces us to have two readings in one night. As much as I'm opposed to having two readings on any bill in one night, we only have 30 days to make this decision after they announce their rate increase.
And this happens every year.
Every year we have to, yeah. So that being the case, to have this second reading, I'll ask for a motion, and there'll be a roll call vote, and we need a unanimous roll call vote to take this to a second reading. So is there a motion for a second reading of Council Bill 23-14?
I'll make a motion.
There's a motion, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Roll call vote, please.
Councilwoman Cleveland,
Yes.
Councilman Sachsenheimer,
Yes.
Councilman Jackson,
Yes.
Councilman Evans,
Yes.
Councilman Nelson,
Yes.
Councilman Hom,
Yes.
Councilwoman Campbell.
Yes.
Council Bill 2314, second reading, an ordinance of the City of Normandy, Missouri, maintaining the tax rate of it on the gross receipts of public utility corporations conducting business within the City of Normandy. Is there a motion to adopt Council Bill 2314?
I make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions, comments? Roll call vote, please.
Councilwoman Cleveland,
Yes.
Councilwoman Sachsenheimer,
Yes.
Councilman Jackson,
Yes.
Councilman Evans,
Yes.
Councilman Nelson.
Yes.
Councilman Hom,
Yes.
Councilwoman Campbell.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Ayes have it. Council Bill 2314 is adopted as ordinance number
782.
782. Thank you. Council Bill 23-15, first reading. An ordinance of the City of Normandy, Missouri, amending the 2023 fiscal year budget. Is there a motion to approve the first reading of Council Bill 2315?
I'll make a motion.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
I would like to keep comment on this to a minimum at this meeting, because my intention is to take a conversation to a workshop, because this conversation could become lengthy. But with that said, we've got a motion and a second before I call for a vote. Is there any questions that need to be answered tonight about this fiscal year budget amendment?
I just had a question.
Go ahead.
So even though we already voted on all of these, why do we have to vote to amend it?
Well, I'll explain why. We got some unanticipated revenues. We got $240,000 in the bond issuance fee. We've sold real estate assets. We've sold some assets from Public Works. And we've got revenues to the tune of, in the neighborhood of $540,000 that weren't anticipated. So we want to use $16,500 of that and put the rest in reserve. And I will also explain how some of this came about, why we need to use some of it.
Well, that's not really my question.
Okay,
My question is like, we already, unless I'm reading this wrong,
not all of it. There are some significant changes.
like the police vehicles, like we already.
Right. No, that's all
voted
on
on
there.
that.
Let me take you to.
I guess I'm just like confused
I'll
as
take-
to like
yeah,
what's
I'll-
new.
I'll take you to
and what's
page
old.
4.
Oh.
Page 4, under legal fees. We budgeted $41,000 between the quiet titles, the USDA building that took a lot of time and work, and dissolving some of these real estate assets that became involved. We're looking at a $78,000 proposed amendment, from 41 to 78. Another one is,
Can I make a comment?
Go ahead.
on Councilman Campbell's question. So.
I'm asking which ones are, I don't know which ones are new and which ones are old. So like, there's no indication, like if they were in bold or italicized.
So the
I would
left-hand
be like,
column.
oh, that's new.
Yeah, the left-hand column is the budget amendment that was passed at the beginning of the fiscal year. So that's what's been approved. Then the middle column is what's being proposed. And that third column on the right-hand side is the change. So if it's a change and it's in parentheses, that means the budget amendment would revise the number down.
Okay.
And if it's not in parentheses, then that's the amount it's increasing. So like you talked about police vehicles, we did buy some police vehicles, $50,000 worth. The proposed amendment, however, would change the budget to $130,000, meaning there's $80,000 in police vehicles for 2 new admin vehicles, being that would be a part of this budget amendment if approved by the council. And that's one of the bigger items on the budget amendment for the council to decide. So, but does that make sense on how to read it?
Yes.
Yeah, that third column on the right is the impact. So if you just want to look at the big numbers on the right, those are the ones that'll catch your eye.
Yeah, and a lot of these have to deal with the USDA project.
Well, the legal fees, accounting fees, a lot of it did. I'm just looking at page 4, administration would seem to have the most changes. Salaries came in under, but legal fees were up, insurance was up. We didn't budget for all the deductibles that we ended up paying out this year on some of these lawsuits. So, but anyway, it explains itself if you want to look through it. But we'll talk about this in detail at the workshop.
But these are ones that some of them are already ones that we voted on. Yes.
Everything
So
on the-
we're amending our.
Yes. Everything on the left we voted on, that's our budget.
Okay.
We're proposing the column in the middle, and if passed, the far right-hand
Will be
column
the
reflects
change.
the impact.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Kiana, can you help me out? I had a motion and a second. Do we take a vote on approving the first reading? No? We've got a motion and a second on the first reading of Council Bill 2315. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Council Bill 2316, the first reading, an ordinance of the City of Normandy, Missouri, amending Section 5 of the City of Normandy Personnel Policy and establishing a pay plan for employees. Is there a motion to approve the first reading of Council Bill 2316?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
And again, this is one that we want to take because it's going to create a lot of conversation.
Yeah, this is gonna take
We're taking
this is gonna take
the
a
budget
while.
amendment and the pay plan to the workshop, and we're going to iron these out. Okay? We've got a first and a second. All in favor of,
Just have a first, right?
we had a first and a second to approve the first reading. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. And I'll tell you what, read that, there's a lot of work involved in that. Read it over, it's gonna be really in the weeds, be familiar with it.
And give me a call if you have questions.
And thank you, Sam and Kiana, for putting in the work for that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
All right. Item number 6, Resolution 2319, a resolution of the City of Normandy, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to sign an affidavit swearing that funds received from the road and bridge tax collections for the 2023 year shall be used for the improvement and repair of public roads, streets, and bridges within the City of Normandy. And Andy, correct me if I'm wrong, this is the one that we have to pass to get disbursement from the county?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. They're not gonna disperse the funds if we don't promise to use them on roads and bridges.
Makes sense.
Is there a motion to adopt, or to pass Resolution 23-19?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions, comments?
Yeah, question. Is there a reason why someone else is still named city clerk on record?
That's who they
County
sent that
records.
notice to.
Right.
Right.
But again, county records for many things are severely outdated. Like, it still has a certain public works director who's long passed as the named contact, for instance, for sewer lateral issues, I believe. Is there a way of getting the county to update their records?
Yeah, I think we can reach out. I mean, I know that Kiana has spoken to Mark before many times. I've spoken to Mark before. He knows that Ms. Warren is no longer the city clerk, so.
Okay, thank you. That's fine. Just-
Should we vote on this with the wrong person's name?
No, the resolution does not have the wrong
No,
name.
that's just the letter that was sent. What
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
actually voting on is the affidavit which the mayor would sign.
Yeah, my question was tangentially involved, so.
So we have a motion and we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Item number 7, discussion of council member attendance ordinance. Councilman Evans asked that we bring this back up. Just some concern that this is too punitive, and if there were room for exceptions. And I just put it on the agenda just to throw it out there and get some feedback on it.
Yeah, and here's the issue that I had. There is no exception, because sometimes you run into emergencies, right? I was thinking maybe if the mayor could approve or reject, attendance, that person attendance, okay, yeah, this person is excused, or no, this person is excused. But right now, it's no room for,
Well, I did run that by Andy. He
Right.
suggested putting that in the mayor's discretion was probably not a good idea.
Okay.
But have specific guidelines, what is excused and what is not excused, if we're interested in even going down this road.
well, that's fine
yeah.
too,
The
But-
only thing I had, I believe the discussion that we had with the ordinance at the beginning was that, I don't know, like you going through and saying like, this person is excused and this person is not excused is like tedious. Then on top of that, the reason that I brought that ordinance forth was because we did have a problem in the past with people not showing up.
Yeah, exactly.
But then the other thing is, we always have to remember, we are not gonna be the people sitting in these seats. So, if it's just, you're here and you lose your $200, which I'm sure is not gonna break anybody's house, you just lose your $200. I don't think, I personally, if I don't show up and I lose $200, I don't think it's that big.
Well, are we talking in-person meeting or Zoom?
Well, the
Because
Zoom is
Zoom
the
should be
exception.
excluded.
The Zoom is the exception.
But see,
So
there
if you
shouldn't
can't
be an
come,
exception.
if you can't come in person, you can be at the grocery store on Zoom, you can be in your car on Zoom, you can be at your house on Zoom, so that is the exception. That counts as you being present. If you want to be in the hospital bed on Zoom.
I'm not gonna use
The Zoom is the exception.
Kevin, go ahead.
We need to make a decision then, so we need to vote on it to see if we wanna make it to whereas if you gotta be in-house to be as considered as a meeting, or were we gonna accept Zoom?
We said we were gonna accept Zoom, that was the exception was.
Now
think
we
it
can
was
already,
originally
we wanna
included,
readdress it now. We should readdress it now, because the reason why it was put in, when I was coming to those meetings before I was councilman, is because we had people that was not coming, that didn't care about coming. So it was like it was something that did people to come in, if not, you don't get paid. But right now, I think we got a good council up here, so we need to address it, and see where it goes.
And I'm gonna go back to the
Here.
same argument, we
Well,
are not
well,
always gonna be the people sitting in these seats. We are not going, we have a good council now, but we are not going to always be, and this is just a scenario, I'm not saying you're gonna do this, but let's just say the mayor, your friend. And you say, I'm not coming, and the mayor is the person that approves it, well, that's my friend, you get paid. Well, that's my friend, you get paid.
Well,
then that's nepotism, right? That's like,
And I'm
but I'm
telling you, I'm
saying,
hearing from
if he
Andy,
could-
that's not gonna happen. I won't be the person making that decision. If we have exceptions, it's gonna be specific
gonna be
parameters.
yeah.
Right. You can have an excuse for this or this or this, it won't be at my discretion,
Right.
and I don't want it to be at my
Right, it
discretion.
should be in
Right,
the
it shouldn't
personnel
be.
policy.
It shouldn't have nothing to do with
It
that.
should be,
Right.
but we always
Exactly.
know that there are.
Yeah, and I agree.
things
All right,
that-
let's have, Karen?
I thought the same thing. I'm thinking if we just had like an excuse absent, like Debbie's not here today. And she couldn't be here today because she's having surgery, so she should still get paid for that.
Yes.
If you have an excuse absence, like you're ill, really ill, and I think this council, this is a very good council. If I call and say I'm just ill and I can't even get on Zoom, I should be punished for not being here. I mean,
Zoom counts as you being here.
Right, just to clarify, right now, as our ordinance exists, if you attend via Zoom, you are in attendance.
Zoom counts as you being
Yeah.
here.
Well, that's-
So if
that's
Debbie wanted to get
explicit. That's
on, even though she said she could, But what I'm saying is, and I'm just gonna keep, we are not going to always be the people sitting in these seats. And we have not, I think we have a little bit of amnesia. I think we have a little bit of maybe euphoric, like atmospheric, like we are not going to, it is not always gonna be this copacetic.
You know, the people, they run into issues, like last year, Sunday, my nephew died. Monday, my sister died. So I was, that Tuesday morning, I was helping plan a funeral for both relatives. And I still came to me. I didn't tell any of you guys about it, but sometimes there's exceptions. You can't make it. You know,
Well,
it's
I
not like
yeah.
it's not like you're skipping out on me.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I
She
understand,
has
yeah.
an emergency and she's not here tonight.
Yeah, I understand that, but there are also some council people, Clayton and Ledoux, they don't get paid at all.
Well,
So you don't, like,
I know,
to
we're
me,
not
it's like, is this,
We're not claiming
is it really a $200 factor? Like, if you are already like doing your job, and I had surgery, I completely understand.
it's
I've had
not
my son
about
in the
the money.
hospital,
It's
and
not
I didn't
about
show
the
up,
money.
I didn't show
It
up and
doesn't have
everything.
anything to do
But we
with the
have to
money.
remember, we're not gonna always be the people sitting in these seats, and that ordinance that I brought forth was to hold people accountable. That was the only thing. You can always get on via Zoom. Now, if you want to vote, clearly your camera needs to be on.
Well, I think Zoom should be excluded.
Okay.
Well, let me do this. Let me do
Because
this.
Zoom was basically because of COVID.
Hang on. All right, hold on. I'm gonna hear from everybody whether they wanna revisit this or not revisit it. If they do, we'll put it on the workshop agenda.
Okay.
And talk about it. If we don't have the majority that wants to revisit this, it'll just die. So let's just, without a vote, just hear from everybody. Do you wanna revisit this ordinance or not?
Yes.
We got a yes. Yes?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
We'll revisit it at the workshop.
Right.
You didn't ask, Rick.
Well, we already got a majority.
Oh, you still ask.
Let me just say one thing.
Okay.
Just like you said, you had a majority. That is the reason why we have 8 council people, because we've got 8 council people voted and elected by the people. The citizens voted us in. If the citizens, I think they should have more to say on this issue. And the thing is 8 council members, meaning that we work together, and if 3 council members can't make it, and 5 make it, we have a quorum. And that's the most important
Okay,
thing.
do you want to revisit it or not? That's what we're doing now.
Yeah, let's just go from there.
Yeah, we're going to discuss the issue at a workshop. Do you want to revisit it?
Sure, why not?
Okay. And clearly, you would be a no on revisiting it, but it sounds like the council wants to talk about this at the workshop.
If I may, Mayor,
Please.
we were over here discussing, I don't think a motion was made to.
There is no motion, I'm just getting a,
I think it'd be better for the minutes, just make a motion and send it to the.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cleaner.
All right. Is there a motion to revisit the council attendance ordinance?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Yes, second.
Well, if you want for the minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Ayes have it, motion carries. Thank you. Last item on the agenda, discussion of the Main Street connection. I'll go first on this. I read in detail what's involved, and I just don't believe that Main Street connection is a good fit for our city for this reason. It requires an active business district with a lot of volunteers. It's a volunteer network, and with the difficulty even filling boards and commissions, I don't see how this works for us. And also, we don't have a traditional Main Street corridor that we're rehabbing. We've got a spot here, a spot there. We've got so much institutional property on Natural Bridge, and lacking a chamber of commerce that actually drives this thing. It's not driven by the council. I just don't see it a good fit for us. With that said, I'll open the floor.
My understanding was that they provided services to allow that, for us to establish those things, like, help to get that going. I thought overall, it was something that would also, it would help us, like, get stakeholders involved in what we wanted to see, not just, I mean, you're right, we don't have a designated area, but it would be a good place to start as to starting the conversation with the citizens and the council and, you know, our boards and commissions as to what do we want to see. And it doesn't cost us anything to do the paperwork.
No, but it costs us $12,000 to join.
Well,
And with
there
our were other factors that you could have joined. Yeah, you could join you could join, not their network, but their library of resources.
Yeah, so
for
there
a
were
fee.
that was the top tier, but there were
What-
other,
Did you gather from that email that was a yearly fee?
I thought it was a one-time fee for the whole.
Yeah, I thought it was one time,
Yeah, I thought it was
based on my
one-time.
understanding.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I did want to take a moment, though, to thank Councilwoman Campbell for putting in the legwork to getting us connected with them and at least hearing them out. It's just, I think the only real good outcome of meeting with them was the possibility of having access to their networking, not necessarily their library of content, but their networking abilities in getting vendors, getting restaurateurs, getting businesses that are looking for a viable space that might fit Normandy better than any other area, which that's not something that we really have great connections with. So I do think that that is something we could explore, is their networking event, which would not cost us much in the grand scheme of things. So, thank you again for that.
Yeah, that was a lot of work.
That was
did.
a lot.
It's not it is appreciated.
I just think right now that we need to be more financially stable and be a little more, I understand everything and how we want to do it, and I agree with Councilman that they do have connections, but right now we have far too many pressing issues that we may need to spend that $12,000 on. In my opinion, I think we could revisit it once we get a little more stable financially. When you look at the budget, a lot of it we were behind in. So I'm like some of the other council people, we just need to get a little more stable first. Once we do, maybe in a year, we could possibly revisit it then.
Karen?
I don't know much about it to really speak on it, you know. I mean, I know we saw what would be the benefit of it, you know. That's what, I wouldn't mind continuing talking about it than to just drop it. We could continue to talk about it, you know, as I want you down the road. I'm not saying we gotta wait a long time, just get more information or whatever.
Okay.
But I wouldn't wanna just say no straight off the top, or yes.
All right. Tony?
Yeah, I feel the same way. Yeah, we can continue the discussion, but I feel like we don't really have a chamber of commerce. We don't have the businesses to really drive it, so I'm kind of up in there about it, yeah.
Anybody else? Rick?
Well,
Profits up there.
It's a good idea, and she did a lot of good work.
Yeah.
But we're just not really ready for that. You know, we just gotta work on trying to get our city safe. That's the most important thing now. We got a new public works director coming in.
That's what I said.
He's got a lot of work to do. We gotta support him. You know, Chief Sanders, she just got on. You know, she's trying to get her department together. You know, so we got a whole lot of work to do. Besides, they're gonna look at safety. Are they gonna be able to put businesses over here and they be safe? That's the most important thing a business person gonna think about. You know, so potholes, leaves, limbs, we got a lot of stuff. Trash, our trash situation is still not as good as it should be. So safety. Mrs. Moorhead, She tells me that when she's at home, she don't feel safe.
I agree.
And we're a senior-led community. Hey, I'm an old man too. We got old men up here. You know, we gotta look in terms of our safety in our city. That's the most important thing. You know, I mean, I can't sleep at nights because I gotta look out after my citizens. It's a family with me. It's all about family.
Well, unless I hear a specific motion for a motion for a specific action, we'll table this for the budget,
Table it.
Good,
the budget conversation we're gonna be having
good idea.
in late July.
Yeah,
And if we think that this is something that should be budgeted for, then we'll
Okay.
talk about it at that time.
yeah, instead of kicking it down the road
Yeah.
that far, we'll talk about
What's
it.
that? Yeah.
Yeah, that's
All
good.
right. Another opportunity for citizens' comments.
Here again.
Okay, on this Missouri Main Street thing, I think it might be a little premature for right now, but for like $250, you can subscribe to their newsletters and have access to their library. I think that's the least you should budget for, because I use that personally in my business. It's got a lot of good information in there, and you know what's going on in other communities, and you'll be alerted to other activities that they're having. Because there are quite a few main streets in the St. Louis area, St. Charles and things like that, and you'll know what they're doing. And so, you know, I would suggest that you not just totally not do it, but do the cheapest thing and keep in touch and keep informed until we have more development going on here. So that was that. About meeting attendance, I just want to say that Antonio probably remember this, when Del Rio was on the council, and she was sick for like,
Right, she was sick for a while.
ever, like almost 2 years. I mean, and really couldn't
Right.
come.
Right.
And she didn't come and we paid her. Now, you would think that if a person is that sick, that you might just say, there's no way I'm gonna be able to come to these meetings anymore. And so like, if you miss, you know, 1 or 2 or 3 meetings, you know, maybe somebody should have a conversation with you and say,
Right.
you know, you haven't been here for 2 years.
Or maybe you should resign.
Yes.
There you go.
So, you know, if you're gonna have those conversations, I think that's something, you know, to think
Well,
about.
because, you know, I think you was on the board. We also
Mhm.
had a gentleman where he missed a whole year,
Mhm.
where he should have resigned, but he stayed
Right.
on the board. So that's probably something to discuss too,
Right.
you know.
Oh, and you were all talking about having the city attorney on the agenda. So, back in the day, the city attorney was always on the agenda, but he always said, I don't have a report. But we have these ordinances coming up, and I'll explain that when the time comes. So he never had a report. So I don't know that you need to put him on the agenda, because he's just gonna say what he needs to say when it gets time for the ordinances anyway.
Right.
And he talks a long time.
When he needs to. When he needs to.
Okay, and I talked to Rick Sampson the other day, because he gave he gave the lady who has the ice cream parlor up at the corner a notice about her sign. So she has a digital sign that is in the window, and it's little, and kids in the neighborhood like to come and look at it because it has little dancing bears and stuff. So it's like a little movie, and they all get a kick out of that sign. Well, he told her, first of all, that she didn't apply for a permit and whatever, and that we have an ordinance, I guess that was written in 1979 or something like that, about that you can't have digital signs. And the only and she's had this sign for 3 years now. So I guess the only reason this came up was because the middle school over here wants to have a digital sign. And some municipalities allow them, and some don't. And so then he said, you know, that they looked into the sign ordinance, and so the school was like, well, these people have a digital sign, Bethesda Church up at 70 in Bermuda has a digital sign. So all these people have digital signs, so they all can have a digital sign, but we can't have a digital sign. So here's my suggestion, is 1970, if that's really when that ordinance was written, did we even have digital signs then? I don't know. I think you need to take another look at that ordinance and maybe think about that again. Now, I can understand if you have a digital sign when school is letting out and kids are getting off and on buses and walking and whatever, it is a distraction. But if you've ever been up there when the buses are coming out, there's no way you could see that digital sign anyway with all those buses. So I don't know how that could be a distraction. The distraction is the buses, but whatever. So I'm just gonna say, if that is an issue, maybe you need to revisit your sign ordinance. And then the last thing I have is a question. Where are we with the Glen Echo Park merger? Because I just haven't been here for a while.
I'll talk to you after. It's in the marketing phase, actually.
Oh, okay.
It's going,
It's
gonna go
going.
public. Yes, it's
Okay.
going to the ballot.
All right, that's all I needed.
Yep.
Terry,
August.
I think,
Yep.
I thought the temple was not part of Normandy. I thought
Did you
the,
get a report from Rick?
Yeah, that's
You say that?
unincorporated.
it's unincorporated
Yeah,
area.
Bethesda Temple is.
Bethesda Temple is.
Yeah, it's part of.
It is part of Normandy?
Yes, the nursing home across the street is county.
Yeah, the nursing
Oh, yeah,
home,
the nursing home is on, yeah.
right,
Okay, okay,
But
I'm sorry.
theirs is,
Okay,
yeah.
so the nursing home, okay, I'm sorry.
right, because they're their own, they have like 11 acres there, and when they did the vote to bring in like Ward 1 and 2 Burdell Hills,
Burdell, yeah.
they said,
We don't wanna go.
exactly. So,
Okay.
but yeah,
I thought the
Bethesda
church was part of
is,
that, too. I'm
yeah.
sorry. I'm
So,
sorry.
okay, that was it.
Anybody else? All right.
Oh, can I ask something?
It's out of order, but yes.
Mrs. Moorhead, Rick, the information on the guy next door to Ms. Moorhead,
Yeah.
Cleo, the water tank or whatever.
Let's save it for after the meeting.
Save it?
Yeah, I'll talk to you after.
I don't want to, I had to.
Yep,
get
yep,
it from you.
okay.
Okay, thanks.
All right, we've got to the agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second. We have a motion, a second. All in favor? Any opposed? Ayes have it, meeting adjourned. Thank you. Yeah, Rick, I'll tell you what, that's actually a question. Please follow it up on that. I don't have. I'll stop. Wait. I see.